The sweet deception of immortality, the dark side of honey in ancient Egypt exposed. Mummies, pyramids, and pharaohs are just some of the wonders that come to mind when we think of ancient Egypt. But what if I told you that there was a hidden truth about one of the most beloved foods of the ancient Egyptians? That's right, their love for honey almost destroyed their entire civilization. In today's episode, we're going to uncover the sweet deception of immortality and the dark side of honey that almost brought down one of the most influential civilizations in history. You won't want to miss this. Welcome back, everyone. Here, where the veil between the physical and spiritual realms is at its thinnest and the supernatural is real. In this house, we don't just tell stories, we deliver experiences that will leave you questioning the boundaries of reality itself. Join me as we explore the unknown, the unexplained, and the extraordinary. If you dare, step inside and let your journey through the paranormal begin. Now let's dive into today's topic. It was around 2500 BC when humans first domesticated bees for honey production. Ancient Egyptians were among the first civilizations to keep bees in hives and collect honey on a large scale. They kept beehives near their homes and in gardens, and even had special tools for extracting honey from bee combs. Egyptians loved honey not only for its delicious taste, but also for its medicinal and cosmetic properties. It was believed to have healing powers and was used to treat a variety of ailments, including sore throats, coughs, and wounds. Egyptians also used honey in their religious rituals and ceremonies, and it played an important role in their mythology. One of the most famous legends tells the story of how Ra, the sun god, was saved from the underworld by his son, Anubis, who used honey to bribe the gods of the underworld so that Ra could return to the land of the living. In ancient Egypt, it was common to encase pharaohs in gold leaf or cloth before mummifying them. This practice was meant to symbolize the pharaoh's transformation into a divine being after death, as gold was associated with the sun and immortality. However, the use of gold leaf in the mummification process had an unintended consequence. The adhesive used to attach the gold leaf to the mummy often contained honey. Over time, the honey would seep into the linen wrappings and cause them to rot. As the linen decayed, the body would be exposed to the elements, leading to the deterioration of the mummy. One of the most famous cases of honey-induced mummy decay was that of King Tutankhamun. When Howard Carter discovered his tomb in 1922, he found that the honey used in the mummification process had caused the linen wrappings to disintegrate. As a result, the body of the young pharaoh was in a state of advanced decay. This discovery led to a re-evaluation of the mummification process, and eventually the use of honey in the process was discontinued. But the problem didn't stop there. See, ancient Egyptians also used honey in their artistic creations, particularly in the creation of mummies. In some cases, artists would create a mask out of linen and plaster and then cover it with a thin layer of gold leaf. The gold leaf was then sealed in place with honey, which was believed to act as a preservative and prevent the mask from deteriorating over time. However, as we now know, honey can actually accelerate the decay of organic materials, including linen. Over time, the honey would seep into the linen mask and break it down, causing it to crack and crumble. This process would eventually lead to the complete destruction of the mask, leaving us with little more than a pile of decaying linen and plaster. Take, for example, the mask of Nefertiti, an enigmatic Egyptian queen who was the wife of Akhenaten during the 18th dynasty. The mask, which was originally covered in gold leaf and precious stones, has suffered greatly due to the use of honey in its creation. Today, it is in a state of severe deterioration, and experts believe that the honey used to seal the gold leaf is largely responsible for its damaged condition. Another famous example is the Mask of Tutankhamun, whose young age and untimely death have left us with a wealth of information about the ancient Egyptian world. But the honey used in his mummy's creation has also caused his mask to deteriorate over time, making it one of the most fragile artifacts in the world. But why did ancient Egyptians continue to use honey in their art despite knowing its harmful effects? The answer, unfortunately, may lie in human nature itself. Humans are creatures of habit, and once a certain way of doing things has been established, it can be difficult to change no matter how much evidence there is that something isn't quite right. In the case of ancient Egyptian artists, they had likely been using honey in their creations for generations, and it was only when they began to see the negative effects of this practice that they realized that there may be a better way. But by that point, the damage had already been done, and many of the beautiful artifacts created with honey had already begun to decay. However, the use of honey in ancient Egypt wasn't limited to just mummies. It was also used in religious ceremonies and offerings to the gods. Egyptians believed that honey was a sacred substance that had been given to them by the gods, and they used it as a symbol of their devotion in their religious ceremonies. For example, in the Book of the Dead, which is a collection of funerary texts that were designed to help the deceased navigate the afterlife, there are several references to the use of honey in religious rituals. In one passage, the deceased is instructed to offer a libation of honey to the gods as a way of showing their gratitude for their help in the afterlife. Egyptians also believed that honey had magical properties and used it in spells and incantations to protect against evil spirits and curses. For example, there are several examples of amulets and talismans that were made with honey and inscribed with protective spells. These were worn by people to keep them safe from harm. Unfortunately, these practices of using honey in religious ceremonies and offerings to the gods likely contributed to the downfall of ancient Egyptian civilization. The excessive use of honey led to the overexploitation of bee populations, which resulted in a decline in the number of bees and the amount of honey produced. This, in turn, led to food shortages and economic instability, which ultimately contributed to the collapse of the civilization. To make matters worse, the use of honey in mummification and art not only caused the deterioration of these artifacts, but also served as a reminder of the ancient Egyptians' hubris. By attempting to preserve the bodies of their dead and immortalize their pharaohs through works of art, they were essentially trying to defy the natural order of things. And the honey, with its sweet taste and sticky texture, was the perfect metaphor for this futile attempt at immortality. As the masks and mummies decayed over time, it was as if the very gods were laughing at the Egyptians' attempts to cheat death. This realization, coupled with the other problems facing ancient Egypt, such as food shortages and economic instability, ultimately led to the end of the civilization. Looking back, it is hard to say whether the ancient Egyptians knew that they were bringing about their own demise by using honey in their art and religious practices. But one thing is for sure, their love of this sweet treat had a profound impact on their culture and history. From the construction of the pyramids to the creation of beautiful works of art, ancient Egyptians used honey to try to create something that would last forever. But, as we've seen, honey can be a double-edged sword, and its destructive power should not be underestimated. So the next time you enjoy a spoonful of honey, take a moment to think about the ancient Egyptians and the lessons they learned the hard way. The desire for immortality may be a powerful one, but it is important to remember that death is a natural part of life, and trying to cheat it can have unforeseen consequences. That was a look at the dark side of honey in ancient Egypt. What are your thoughts on this mysterious topic? Did you find the information shared in this video interesting, or perhaps you have your own theories about the ancient Egyptians and their love for honey? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the unknown. Until next time, stay curious, stay open-minded, and always remember that the truth is out there.